already did the sauna, cold tub, and 30 minutes of cardio, and it's 6:20 a.m. We're winning the day. Sorry, we had 6:15 was our meetup time. 5:30 rolled around. I said, "Can I do this?" Because I was like, I had pretty much everything ready to go, and I just went for it. And usually by the time I finish my cardio, the sun is up, but the sun is not up yet. We are on the road in the dark, going to Super Training to visit Mark Bell and Nsima and do a podcast and work out and hopefully bond over some fitness.
Coffee.
Yep, Davis, California, Temple Coffee Roasters. I know that they're based out of this area, so of course we had to make a stop on the way to Super Training to get some espresso. And I don't know what the local policies are here on mask wearing, but you know, we're going to abide if we need to. Decaf cortado and an espresso. And what did you get?
A ginger snap latte.
Oh, nice.
Seasonal.
Seasonal, baby. That'll do. Worth the stop. Put us maybe 5 minutes behind schedule, but we're ahead of schedule by 10, so we're net 5 ahead. Look, I'm here not to try and necessarily teach them something new. These two have been around the fitness game for a long time. I guess my goal is to expose them to how I have taken lots of different training principles over the years and compiled them into the functional bodybuilding method. So looking at, well, what are the elements of functional bodybuilding that are really, we'll call them pillars to the method. Well, there's something about resistance training that we need to kind of explore together, and that is movements in resistance training that obviously build strength and can build muscle, but at the same time work with the body's mechanics and help reinforce good movement patterns and longevity and joint health. So I think I'll have a conversation with them about what movements they like to do, what they're feeling like doing, and then inject some of those concepts and principles of like, well, what's a movement that hits good range of motion? What's a tempo that's going to work really well for this, that's going to align with hypertrophy and strength building and getting a little bit of a metabolic conditioning effect from it, put a superset or a giant set together. And then of course there's the work capacity portion, or the functional pump conditioning portion of functional bodybuilding. In essence, like a conditioning workout that's got some resistance training in it. My guess is that's the area that they're probably least familiar with, you know, because that's what I carried from my CrossFit background into functional bodybuilding. So I'm going to put together a conditioning workout that I think they'll get a lot of value from. It'll feel good, but it'll be challenging. And that's going to depend on like the space and the equipment that they have. I don't foresee us doing like toaster bars and toaster rings or muscle ups, but you know, something with maybe some sleds or some farmer's carries, some like, even some like dumbbell bench press inside a conditioning workout maybe. You know, something with maybe just some dumbbell deadlifts. I don't know. We'll see what they're feeling like they're up to, and I'll also check out what I'm feeling like I'm up to. I mean, I have to figure out a workout that I can win. And if we're not doing thrusters and if we're not doing muscle ups, like, I might not be able to figure this one out. So that's what we're thinking about right now. That's what I'm thinking about as we drive through open fields and farms and farmland up here in the outskirts of Sacramento, California.
Check it out.
We made it. I like the acoustics in here.
Very quiet.
It's very quiet. How long? We're not doing like CrossFit. We're not doing like, you know, ring muscle ups and things like that. It's gonna be different for sure.
Anything in mind?
I had a few things in mind. Yeah, for me, what I talked about with Nate was like, you know, my functional bodybuilding methods are not, you know, it's not going to be like introducing you to something that you've never seen before. It's really taking all the different methods that I've been exposed to over the years and kind of pulling pieces together and finding something that's like, I can do this, challenge myself, but really keep like the long game in mind.
Right.
I'm all about like, I want to really be doing this for the next 20, 30 years, and I want to introduce people to training concepts that they can do consistently so that they can see, you know, how you develop real results, which doesn't happen in a month, it doesn't happen in 6 months, it doesn't happen in a year. And what I would like to do today is like, okay, let's grab some movements that you feel like you want to do today, like what movement patterns should we hit, and we'll put together like a resistance training superset, giant set, where we do some tempo supersets, which is pretty common in our programs, common in our approach, something that like slows people down a little bit, adds some variables so you can't max out your weights, you know, you're just working like against
Doing
high
2 or 3 things at one time.
Yeah, exactly. And then more of like what I think makes sort of my background in CrossFit, what I brought into our training is like doing the mixed modal conditioning. So doing like metcons that are not, the intention is not like, okay, let's see if I can make you throw up. It's
Right.
more like, let's do something that combines work capacity with resistance training. And it could look like slant board squats. It could look like, you know, doing dumbbell bench press, you know, it could look like a whole bunch of things. It could look like doing prone rows and then going over to the rowing machine and doing couplets like in that way. I've kind of removed myself from like, it has to be burpees, kettlebell swings, box jumps,
Right.
and, you know, stuff that's fast, because people don't need to move that fast to get value. They need
Right.
to lift weights, they need to breathe, they need to move blood.
Get some people breathing too much.
Yeah, and when people breathe too much or when they do things too fast, that's when they expose themselves to injury risk, and ultimately it's like they just wake up after a month and they're like, I don't want to fucking do that. You know, it's just it's too hard. Like, it's like, yeah, I get it. You know, let's do something that's challenging, but not like so hard that it makes you want to quit after 30 days.
Yeah.
And
Well, everything's fun. We like everything.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have preferences, to be honest. So
Okay.
we'll leave it to your brain.
well, then I'm gonna choose that we do some pulling off the ground, so some like deadlifting, hinging, and
Okay.
pick a stance that doesn't aggravate your adductor. Because I kind of want to learn a little bit from you both about, you know, deadlifting.
Yeah,
To
cool.
be honest, because I'm not good at deadlifting. And then so we'll pick a hinge that explores a little bit of range of motion. So maybe a deficit deadlift of some
Sounds
sort.
good. Okay.
And then an upper body push, and maybe we'll do something with maybe some type of press. So
Awesome.
okay,
Excited.
let's do it. Then let's warm up for some hinging and some pressing. So like get my shoulder blade rotating well, and then started doing like dumbbell Arnold presses, because this added range and supination pronation was really good for my shoulder. And we're looking for ways to just like add slight variations. It's like, okay, well, you're gonna hold a kettlebell isometric in the other arm to work scapular stability and endurance, and you're gonna press like this. So Arnold press in one arm, kettlebell rack, isometric in the other. Did it enough times, people started picking up on it, and they're like, hey, that's a sweet move. And I was like, yeah, it's the Philly press. And so it kind of stuck in the community. A lot of people, you know, will send me screenshots of their CrossFit gym on the board. It's like, hey, we're doing Philly press today and this. I'm like, oh, that's so rad. But this is the Philly Z press. So the seated position on the floor, working hamstring mobility, thoracic extension. This kettlebell rack, elbow down. A lot of people just don't know how to like hold a rack position well. They're doing this, putting strain on their elbow. And then the, you know, Arnold press is classic, great for shoulder development. I like it because that supination down here gets that added range. So we're working extra range. And then for kicks, we're just throwing on a fat grip to just change that. So we'll do this movement combined and superset with the deficit trap bar deadlift. This one could be like 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up. Alternative. Wow, there's so many different tools within fitness I can use for a long time. I don't have to be just married to one discipline. And so with kettlebells, like the thing I love to teach is what I know about the kettlebell rack position is this is so commonly misunderstood. It's like people have this broken wrist common fault. They put a lot of the stress back here as opposed to keeping wrist straight and somewhat flexed, which for some people hurts as they push their wrist into the bell, but you know, a straight wrist is really important. Elbow down, forearm to chest. So thumb is basically pointed right at your sternum. And that's ideal. Anything that takes you into this, or elevated shoulder trap, you know, upper trap working too hard, just gets people into problems.
There you go. That.
Figuring how to front squat and clean that.
Extra rest.
But I didn't really have cardio background.
Nice, good set. Yep. Go. Back still staying nice and flat. There you go. Go. Whew. Set. Come on. Yep. Looking good. Yep. Go. Clean.
Hey.
Good job.
Call it like a triplet conditioning workout where we're gonna work against the clock, trying to complete the work as fast as we can with good quality. But to ensure that we don't get going too fast where we lose form, we pick exercises specifically that will slow you down just by the nature of how you have to get in and out of them, maybe by the load that's chosen, or maybe just by the cadence of it. Like oftentimes we'll do a Turkish get-up in a workout, which slows people down. You can't race through that. So the movements that we selected today are a dumbbell floor press, which we'll do from 10 repetitions down to 1 repetition in increments of 1. We'll then move to a kettlebell swing, a classic, Russian kettlebell swing just to shoulder height, which then pairs well with the sled drag, which we're doing in a position that's gonna really light up the hamstrings and the posterior chain. So it's floor press, swing, sled, floor press, swing, sled, and we'll just complete 10 rounds. But the reps on these get lower and lower as we go. My approach is really about, what's gonna help you be better in other things that you're doing. Like, this isn't a sport. Functional bodybuilding is not a sport. It's it's just something to make you better. And I think people got so caught up in training as their sport that it became such a focus that it started to take away from other areas of their life. Like, I don't have energy for anything except for my 8 a.m. workout. It's like, is that what you're living for? I mean, for some people it is, but for a lot of people, they're like, I don't know if this is really jiving.
It's cool they did the overhead lunge for the distance and the weight that was required, but it's not cool that they're hurt later on for the next 2-3 weeks.
Exactly.
All right, floor pressing.
Let's do it.
We win? Winners. We won something?
I fucking love this because it tests your breathing a lot. through
Yeah.
load, especially the ones we were doing before.
Yeah.
I was getting so smoked. Still smoked right now, but
I mean, I really
really
like,
working tempo.
And it's like working with different types of athletes. Immediately on reflection, it's like, okay, I put this workout together just on the fly. Reps were good, the pacing was good. Loading on the floor press should have been considerably heavier. I could see you doing this just like Mark's doing it out of a rack, and then that way you can overload it. You can be relatively safe, you're not gonna hurt yourself, and it's not hard to get in and out of. You know, most people don't have good barbell technique that work with us, so it's like they're safer using a dumbbell. They can get in and out quickly. The loading, like if that's the first time you've swung that, we should have had the hundo out here, you know, like this could have easily been done with 100 pound on the swing, and then suddenly this becomes like a strength endurance piece where you're really getting like, you can challenge your like we could redo the whole thing right now, and it's like, okay, go do 225 on the floor press from the first set, you know, and swing the 100 pound kettlebell, swing the 125. I see you got some big ones over there. And then this was perfect. This didn't need to change really. And you know, just think about the audience that's going to be participating. Like, hey, if your best asset, one of your best assets as an athlete is your strength, then leverage it inside of these conditioning workouts so that you can get good cardiovascular work capacity, but use things that you're really confident with to elevate and develop intensity. Whereas like, okay, maybe let's say we added in a simple sprawl or like a burpee. I mean, you add that's not in your wheelhouse, so it's like, okay, that's going to be challenging enough, but the floor press is something you could really push. And getting people to understand and think about what they're doing inside of training is like what I call like developing the thinking athlete. You know, there's some people want to just show up and like, tell me what to do, which has its place, but it won't take you as far in fitness, because eventually you can run into obstacles. You got to have answers, you got to have ways of navigating it. And if you learn more, if you understand more, I just think that people are going to have longevity in fitness. If they're like, I just like showing up and being told what to do. Okay, what happens when your gym closes down in COVID? I don't know what to do anymore. I don't have my class, and they just fall off the wagon for 18 months. It's like, oh man, that's unfortunate. You know, it's really or when something changes, you move, you're in a new city, and you don't have the access to your boot camp that you were so dependent on. So teaching people the why behind what they're doing. And yeah, if like you're an elite athlete, you want to just show up and train. Okay, tell me what to do, coach. Like I want to limit how much I'm thinking, but you know, 99.9% of people aren't in that camp. They need to understand some basic principles. So if somebody's doing my program, sees this workout, and we've taught them enough, they get on to round 6. So like, hey, I'm gonna go grab a heavier dumbbell. Hey, I'm gonna throw another plate on. Hey, let me try that other kettlebell. You know, they're not just like lifting something too light and being like, well, this is what I was told to do and it didn't feel like a good workout. It's like, well, that's on you partly. You know, or they're lifting too heavy, they're like, this hurt my back. It's like, why didn't you lighten up the load at like rep 3 instead of rep 57 when you were smoked? You know, and that's because they're just following, as opposed to being like an active participant in the process of their fitness journey.
Yeah. You ever seen me do a burpee before?
I have not.
Well, I just happened. I just did it.
You just got done.
I'm not efficient now. That was a great workout.
Fastest burpee alive.
Thank you for showing us that. I think it's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. It's podcast time.
Do it.
Let's go.